Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of the Alpine reconstruction, destruction. I'm not quite sure which just yet. But anyway, today, Saturday morning here at Kiwi Classics, and kind of this is my therapy time. This is my messing with my own stuff time. And yeah, gonna start messing with said Alpine. So yeah, the plan today is to get this quarter cut off. So we're going to strip some paint to start with and do the cuts all the way down here and down, and then obviously along the bottom of the quarter over the wheel arches, because they're, it's attached to the tubs around here. So I have to get it jacked up in the air a little bit, and we'll find a cut-off point down here somewhere. Fair bit of Bondo in there, so we'll kind of dig into that and find a good spot to that might lend itself to joining. So some of you may be asking, why are you cutting the quarters off first? This car has some rust issues, not gonna lie, it does, and I knew that going in. There was no surprises. It's stored in a barn for a long time. The trouble with barns is, barns are really hard on cars. People go, ooh, a barn find. Barn find means creatures have been living in it for as long as it's been in the barn. About the evening of the first day you roll it in the barn, the first critters are shifting their bags into the car to live for as long as they can. That's just what they do. So yeah, it's had some rust, and it's been patched up before. There's a fair bit of mud in it. Someone's, it's been rusty in the day, and it's been patched up, as they were when it was probably a 10 or 15 year old car and not worth a lot of money, not particularly desirable at that stage of its life. So yeah, it's had some quick, hasty, cheap used car yard repairs done on it. So we've just got to dig down, find what that is, see what we're working with, and go from there. So yeah, the reason for doing it first is we've got to get through that rust and put some structure back in it. I don't know quite how bad it is. I know the other side was fairly bad. So yeah, I want to get inner rockers. No, I know the outer rockers shot. I want to get the inner rockers nice and strong. The outer rocker does add some strength, but not that much. It's the inner and the kind of intermediate rocker, I guess you could call it. That's where the real strength is. That's where the real heavy gauge metal is. So I want to make sure that's all good. And the quarters coming off just is going to give me a lot more access when I'm trying to graft this onto the Miata. Because, we are going to be keeping, the wheel tubs. You can see kind of the white section there is the wheel tub. We got to keep these. We're not using the Miata ones because that shape is all part of how the convertible top drops down in there. So we've got to keep a lot of this. Pretty important. So yeah, and exactly how much and what we can keep, is kind of to be determined. But I want to get the car as structurally strong as I can before we really cut it apart. So I think I can add to it like that. And as I say, the quarters just give us access to marry up the, much better access to marry up the floor pan of the Miata with the inner structure of the Alpine. So, all right, that's enough waffling. Let's get into it. I'll put this camera on the tripod. We'll do a bit of the old, high speed stuff, and so it won't be too boring, and we'll get cutting. All right, guys, back in a sec. Well, even sped up, I think that's probably enough of that till I get it all cleaned off. But I just wanted to quickly show you this little bit down here. We had the lead in the seam here. You can see there, this is the rocker. And if I can zoom in close enough, they actually pot riveted it together at the factory before they ran the welds in there. So you've got some welds here, but they weren't actually spot welded through here. They just riveted them together to kind of mock it up and then weld. And yeah, because of the lack of corrosion, anti-corrosion procedures, which were lack of it, non-existent, whatever you want to call it, yeah, these areas gave trouble. So yeah, but that's original factory lead. And same, you got a little bit of lead here over the factory seam. So this corner's, believe it or not, actually a little more solid than the other side. Obviously we got some issues here. Been kind of caved and paved, as they say. But yeah, that's the inner here and the outer. And yeah, it's needs a little love, shall we say. But yeah, I'm going to clean the rest of this blue off, and then we can kind of start thinking about trying to cut it off. We do have to go around sort of in through here and drill out all the spot welds so that this will come away from the wheel arch. And yeah, so I'll be back when I've got all that blue junk off there. So hold tight. Okay, got all the blue off that we need at the moment. Want to get the wheel off, get the spot welds drilled out here, but we've got to get the wheel off. Now, if any of you wondered how you get the wheel off these lock nut type things, here's the answer. This is actually the original one. It came with the car, was kind of buried in amongst the critter skeletons, but yeah, there it was. So, now, thing to remember if you're ever doing one of these, they have left and right hand threads when they're that single nut hub. Does have an arrow on here, so that helps. Now, that wasn't very tight because I have had them on and off before. So normally you got to give it a bit of a beating to you know, like back, you know, tap it multiple times to get it off. But I've had that off already. So yeah, nut comes off like so. Yeah, there we go. More critterness, that's all right. All right, let's get a drill, get drilling on these plug welds. Now, here's what we got to get done. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on camera. Some of the spot welds you can see, little wee dimples. On here and here. They seem to fade away down here. But we're just going to have to go looking a bit harder for them. Probably get a chisel in between the two layers that are here. The two layers here. And kind of work down towards where they're probably going to be. You know, try and show them up. But yeah, each one of these little dimples, they've all got to be drilled out. So we can let that go and leave the wheel tub. Ugh. That's nasty in there. Someone's brushed on a load of undercoat sealer, something in here. It's a little bit nasty. Here's a little fun thing. It's the old knee action shock absorber. So that kind of, you know, really does date it back to the early 50s, suspension wise. You know, that's why all this stuff had to go. Here's the, limiting straps. This was the highly technical device for stopping the rear axle from going down too low. If you ever jacked it up or, you know, got it airborne over a jump or whatever, that this strap would limit how far the axle would droop. So, I mean, like, simple but effective, I guess. But you know, the knee action shock absorber wouldn't limit your travel. It would just try and break it. So they had to use like a telescopic shot will limit your amount of travel, compression and droop. But the knee actions don't like that so much. So yeah, they had to put the straps on. Anyway, I'm going to get drilling, and I'll see if I can film it. I don't know how, it's a little crowded in here, but hey, we'll give it a go. All right, well, filming drilling out the spot welds was not a happening thing. All you could really see was the back of my head. But I'll quickly show you what I did get done. So, yeah, try and get far enough back so you can get an idea. You can see there's a lot of welds, spot welds drilled out there. So, and just got in between the two layers. Get a bit of light on the equation. Yeah, got a little chisel, body chisel in between the two layers, pop them apart, and yeah, so that's all let go around here now, and here, and I've just done a little cut up here to start, and yeah, so I'm about to mark it all out. We're going to come across here, we'll probably come in 3/8 of an inch or so here and cut right up this face here. Hang on, I'm looking at my thumb and not following with the camera. There we go, that's better. All around here, and then we're going to cut back about 1/2 inch in from this body line all the way through. Then we'll take a little detour across here down to the side of the trunk opening, again about 1/2 inch in all the way through and down, and the whole quarter will come off. So yeah, let me throw the camera on the tripod and I'll get it marked out. Trying to get my head in the way so you guys can see what the heck it is I'm doing. Across to there. And so the idea is we cut it through here, we slide it out completely, the whole fender out like 2 inches, a little bit over, and put a filler strip in there. Now this section here, let me just grab this camera so I can show you the problem. We had a similar problem on the other side, in a rust issue. This quarter panel comes over and rolls over into here, and it has like a weather strip that goes around here, which is a trap for moisture. And as you can see, this is just rusted away here. Try and move this camera slowly so I don't get you dizzy. But back to about here needs replacing. So what I did on the other side, let me check it close, instead of just putting a 2-inch strip in there, I actually made a panel that had a 90-degree bend in it and rolled over into this convertible well area. And that was made that instead of being kind of a 1/2 by 1/2 strip, which is what we cut out, it was a 1/2 by 2.5 and went all the way out to join the panel. I'll go around the other side, see if I can't explain that a little better. Also, I'll show you when I make the new panel. But yeah, here you can see there's a little joint across here. That's where I cut it. Instead of like back here, there's a strip, and you've got a weld through here, and we will have a weld through here in time. Right at this point, sorry, instead of being just a 2-inch wide strip, it goes all the way to here, does a 90 turns down, which replaces, this side looked just like the other side. You can see that's new metal there. So that recreated that without having to make that and do a weld all the way down here, which is what we would have done had this piece been intact. But it was in fact like that. Just because moisture got trapped in there. So anyway, that's kind of the explanation of that. I'm going to grab myself a nice new super thin cut-off wheel, start cutting. All right, got my safety kit on. Let's start. Right. Whew. As you can tell, kind of a dirty job. And a hot job, especially in Tennessee summer. But yeah, we've got a whole lot of stuff exposed now. The factory tub, and yeah, some missing metalwork. Yeah, it's not really up to scratch, is it? Am I even in the shop? I can't see from way over there. That might be better. Yeah, so a little bit to do, but you know, there always is. This is a good start. We put a bit of a dent in it on a Saturday. Next thing I'll do, I'll probably leave this. At some point, we'll cut this outer part of the tub off so that can then be pulled out 2 inches as well. But probably the next thing to do is to start making the strip to go in here and this repair section. So where I'm leaving this cut edge, I know I cut all the way down, got to cut somewhere. I'm going to replace from here to here with a little 90-degree over, plug weld it back in through there, so we'll have nice fresh metal there. Then I can start making the filler strip to go in there. And yeah, a filler panel to go in here, and yeah. It's a little more than half an hour's work, shall we say. But, yeah. Well, that's probably about it for today. I'm kind of out of Saturday. Want to get home and have a little bit of chill time. And get into the honey-do list tomorrow, Sunday. But yeah, this is, you can see how kind of hopeless that was. That's pretty bad. But other than that, yeah, make that little piece. I've done that on the other side, so I kind of know what to do there. We'll get all this cleaned up, get all the rust acid treated and killed. And yeah, it's kind of interesting looking in the structure. Let me gonna give you guys a bit of a close-up. It's interesting, this little 45-degree piece they've added in here, you know, obviously a gusset to help with the strength of the car, also carries up into here. I mean, it finishes at the pillar here, but then there's another piece here coming out and spreading the load into the tub. So yeah, everything's connected to everything. And that's why these unibody cars need to be intact, need to be strong, you know, need to be rust free. So we've got a little ways to go yet till we can claim the badge of rust free, but you know, we'll get there. A lot of this is just going to be new, and yeah, because all this here is going. That's the original Sunbeam chassis here. That's going. You know, all this just leaf spring pickup points going. Not quite sure what we're doing here. But you know, as it gets dropped onto the Miata chassis, I'm hoping it will become apparent, you know, all will be revealed, so to speak, to me as well as you guys, you know. So quite how I'm going to do it, I really don't know yet, but going to figure it out. It's part of the challenge. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'll see you on the next one. Yeah, all right, take it easy, guys.